Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a unicorn. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the top part of the body. To draw the circle, first make two small marks to indicate the circle's length, and then on the sides make two more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then connect the marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. The circle doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're having trouble drawing it, just trace the outer edge of a coin, a bottle cap, or anything else with a circular edge. On the bottom left side, draw another circle as a guide for the lower section of the body. Use the 4 marks method to draw this circle too. Draw the two circles roughly the same size. Pay attention to the positions of the circles. Above the first circle, draw a smaller circle as a guide for the head. Draw this circle about 1/3 the size of the first circle. Sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also, pause the video to draw at your own pace. On the bottom right side, make a small mark for the first part of the muzzle. Connect the small mark to the circle using curved lines to finish the guide for the muzzle. Make this guide long in relation to the head. Draw a diagonal line across the head as a guide to help you place the facial features later. On top of the head, draw a small triangular shape as a guide for the ear. On the top right side of the head, draw a short sloping line as a guide for the horn. If you want to draw a regular horse and not a unicorn, you can skip the horn. Connect the head to the body using curved lines to create the guide for the neck. Make the line on the left longer. Connect the body circles using sloping lines to finish the guide for the torso. Curve the lines slightly. Under the circle at the bottom, draw a long angled line as a guide for the hind leg. Bend the line a couple of times to indicate the joints. To the right, draw another long angled line as a guide for the other hind leg. On the right side of the top body circle, draw a long angled line as a guide for the front leg. Bend the line a couple of times to indicate the joints. Slightly higher, draw another long angled line as a guide for the other front leg. Bend the right side of this line downward. On the bottom left side of the body, draw a long curved line as a guide for the tail. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch a small oval for the eye. Place the eye near the top right edge of the head. When you get the size and position of the eye right, darken the shape. As you darken the shape, make the sides pointier for the corners of the eye. The inner corner of the eye should point down toward the muzzle. Draw a couple of curved lines around the eye for creases. Keep these lines close to the shape of the eye. Inside the eye, draw a thin oval-like shape for the pupil. Near the tip of the muzzle, draw another thin oval-like shape for the nostril. Shade in the nostril. Draw a couple of short lines around the nostril for creases. Use the initial arc as a guide to draw the front of the muzzle. Darken the curvature of the arc to create the front of the muzzle. Curve the line inside the shape to create the mouth. Draw a curved line below the mouth for the chin. Use the triangular shape on top of the head as a guide to draw the ear. Make the shape more curved and extend the bottom of the ear so that it's inside the head. To the right, draw a similar shape for the other ear. Starting between the ears, draw a line that curves downward for the front part of the mane. Draw angled shapes for the tips of the mane. Curve the shape to the left. Use the initial circle and arc as guides to draw the rest of the head. Darken the outer edges of the shapes to create the head. Curve the bottom left side of the head for the jaw. Add a couple of lines inside the head for creases and veins. Darken the sloping line on the head for the first part of the horn. Add another sloping line at the bottom to complete the shape of the horn. Remember to skip this step if you want to draw a horse and not a unicorn. Draw a couple of short lines across the shape to make a spiraled horn. Use the long angled line on the top right side of the body as a guide to draw the front leg. First, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Curve the lines along the path of the guide to create the joints on the leg. Make the base of the leg wide. Keep the edges of the shape close to the guide so that the leg is thin. On the tip of the leg, draw a small square-like shape for the hoof. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Draw a few curved lines around the joints to emphasize the structure. Use the angled line that's higher up as a guide to draw the other front leg. First, lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Bend the shape along the guide to create the joints. Add a small square-like shape at the end of the line for the hoof. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Don't overlap the first leg as you draw this leg. Use the long angled line at the bottom as a guide to draw the hind leg. Just like with the front legs, first lightly sketch the shape of the hind leg around the guideline. Curve the shape of the leg around the guide to create the joints. At the bottom, draw a small square-like shape for the hoof. When you get the shape of the hind leg right, darken the lines. Make the bottom part of the leg thin. Use the angled line to the right as a guide to draw the other hind leg the same way. Don't overlap the first hind leg as you draw this hind leg. Lightly sketch the leg around the guide and only darken the lines when you get the shape right. Draw a long wavy shape along the left side of the neck for the mane. Don't draw every individual hair strand on the mane. Draw the shape as a big singular wavy mass. You can divide the mane into smaller shapes. Make the sides of the shapes wavy and the tips thin and pointy. Sketch lightly at first and only darken the lines when you get the shapes right. Draw a couple of short curved lines along the neck for the base of the mane. Use the remaining shapes and lines as guides to draw the rest of the body. Simply darken the outer edges of the guides to create the shape of the body. Use the curved line on the bottom left side of the body as a guide to draw the tail. Just like with the mane, draw the tail as a big wavy shape instead of individual hair strands. Now go over the final lines with permanent ink. The next few steps are sped up so that the video isn't too long. Take your time and be careful when you ink your drawing to avoid any accidents. Don't ink the initial guidelines, only the final drawing. When the ink dries, erase all of the guidelines. Make the final lines thicker and darker to emphasize the shapes. Add a couple of dark sections for shadows. Now color your drawing. For a white unicorn like this one, just add shadows across the body using gray. Shadows will give the figure more dimension and volume. Color lightly at first and gradually build up to darker colors. For a light shade of a color, push down very lightly on your pencil, then push down harder for a darker shade. Add a bit of blue to the shadows. Add some shadows to emphasize the muscle structure too. Add a bit of gray and blue to the horn, the mane, and the tail too. Add a bit of gray to the tip of the muzzle. Slowly and gradually blend all the colors together. Push down slightly harder on your pencils to blend the colors together. Add a cast shadow at the bottom using gray and a bit of blue. Coloring can be time-consuming, so be patient and take breaks. Keep coloring until you're happy with the result. And that's it for the unicorn. Don't forget to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com where every step of this tutorial is broken down into an individual image. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying my books on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.